Welcome back to Press Review. Let's start by taking a look at today's front pages in the Middle East. Israel's Jerusalem Post leads its front page reporting that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cancelled a meeting with Beit Yehudi leader Naftali Bennett to protest the latter's recent behavior that Netanyahu's associates called childish. The paper also reports that 3 people were reported dead in what appeared to be an anti-Semitic shooting attack in Kansas. From Saudi Arabia, the Arab News leads its front page reporting that security authorities thwarted 2 separate attempts to smuggle more than 22 million amphetamine tablets worth an estimated 1 billion Saudi riyals. The paper also reported Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono has sent a letter to the family of a Saudi employer who was murdered by his Indonesian maid asking for pardon. The UAE's Gulf News is reporting that family members of 3 Emirati sisters who were attacked in London last week said they are recuperating well, while the family still awaits results of the investigation to decide whether they will sue the hotel. The paper also reports that Israel has carried out a new land appropriation in the occupied West Bank in a move that could complicate efforts to extend troubled peace talks with the Palestinians. From Beirut, the Daily Star reports presidential hopeful MP Robert Ghanem has voiced opposition to amending the constitution to elect a civil servant, referring to the possible nomination of Army Chief General Jean Ahwaji and Central Bank Governor Riyad Salemi. The paper also reports that Algerian nomads began voting for the April 17 presidential election at 167 mobile polling stations in the country's vast desert interior. The Egypt Independently is reporting that Israel's drive to export its newfound natural gas could help to rebuild strained ties with old regional allies Egypt and Turkey, but could deprive Europe of a precious alternative to Russian gas. The paper also reports that Ukraine faces a rash of rebellions in the east, which it says are inspired and directed by the Kremlin. But action to dislodge the armed militants risks tipping the standoff into a new, dangerous phase, as Moscow has warned it will protect the region's Russian speakers if they come under attack. And now let's take a look at the top Mideast news from UK papers. The Telegraph is reporting that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has said that the war that has torn Syria apart for 3 years and cost more than 150,000 lives is turning in the government's favor. Syria's army has made a series of advances in recent months, overturning opposition bastions near the Lebanese border and in the central province of Homs. The Independently's Middle East News reporting that the war crimes trial of the son of Libya's former dictator Muammar Gaddafi is due to begin in Tripoli today. Saif al-Islam al-Gaddafi is accused of orchestrating a campaign of murder, torture and bombardment of civilians during Libya's 8-month civil war in 2011. The Guardian leads Middle East News reporting the crisis in Syria, which has left 5.5 million children in need of urgent educational and psychological support, will become an even greater humanitarian catastrophe if the international community does not come up with 3 years guaranteed funding, UNICEF has warned. Maria Kalivis, UNICEF Regional Director for the Middle East and North Africa, said that although many countries had responded generously to the crisis with emergency funds, guaranteed money was vital. And now let's take a look at the top Middle East news in international papers. China's Global Times leads Middle East News reporting that the Libyan acting Prime Minister Abdullah Thani asked to resign on Sunday after receiving death threats the previous night, and he excused himself from forming a new cabinet as required by the parliament. And finally, the New York Times leads Middle East News reporting that halfway through a 6-month nuclear deal between Iran and major world powers that was meant to allow time to reach a comprehensive agreement, the Iranians have sent little in the way of boost from the sanctions relief they had been expecting, trade lawyers and diplomatic analysts say. The paper says whether Iran's disappointment means that it will be more or less motivated to negotiate a permanent deal on its disputed nuclear program by July the 20th deadline remains unclear. And for more updates, please visit Levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, and bye for now.